Hey guys, what's up? Gizchina here, and this is the Xiaomi Redmi Note 4. I've been using this as my daily driver for about a week now, and this is going to be everything you need to know. This is the successor to the really popular Xiaomi Redmi Note 3, which sold 2.3 million units in India alone. So this phone definitely has a lot to live up to. But you know what? It's off to a pretty good start. It starts at around 160 bucks, and it has the Helio X20 processor. It has a 4100 mAh battery, and it has a full aluminum unibody as well. Those are really good specs for the price, so let's see if this phone is worth your money. The Note 4 looks kind of different from the Redmi Note 3. It looks a lot closer to the Redmi Pro with the rounded corners over here. And in my opinion, that's a good thing, as the Redmi and the Redmi Pro series have traditionally looked kind of like this, which looks a little bit older than the new look of the Redmi Pro and the Xiaomi Mi 5. The entire thing is made out of aluminum and it feels pretty good. In the front of the phone, you find the usual smartphone-y things. You have the passive buttons at the bottom and you have the sensors up top. But when you turn on the screen, if you notice, you can see a little black bar around the screen that makes the bezels actually bigger than they really truly are. So that is kind of a, I won't say a deception, but it's definitely something to watch out for. And then you have the buttons on the right and you have the SIM slots on the left. Flipping the phone around, you find the camera, the LED flash, and the fingerprint sensor slightly recessed into the body of the phone, which does allow you to be more careless when you put the phone down on the surface, because then you don't have to worry about the camera module being scratched, which did happen with a few of my other phones that I tested, which is really annoying. I can't really find any faults with this phone, well, big faults at least. This aluminum unibody is just really nice to touch, and I really like it, and it's just amazing how good this phone feels for just $160. The Note 4 uses a pretty standard 5.5-inch 1080p panel that's IPS, and the colors are pretty good. They're pretty well saturated and stuff is pretty crisp as well. I do find it a little bit difficult to see in full sunlight, as the screen is not the brightest, but it's good enough to see in kind of like not direct sunlight, but if it's direct sunlight, then it gets really hard to see what's on the screen, and you kind of have to use one hand to shade the screen from the sunlight to be able to see what's going on. The one area that I'm kind of disappointed about in this phone is the lack of any protective glass you find on the screen. There isn't any Gorilla Glass, there's no Dragon Trail glass either, so you do have to be careful when you put the phone down on any surface because you might scratch it. The speaker holes are located on the bottom and you get two sets of speaker holes. However, there's actually only one speaker firing out of the speaker hole and the other one is just for decoration. The speaker itself gets pretty loud. It's about the same as my Redmi 3, it might even be a little bit louder, which is definitely more than enough for most situations. Quality-wise, it's also not too bad. Mids and highs are pretty good. It's a bit lacking in bass, but when you turn it up to max volume, you do hear some crackling, but you turn it down a little bit and the crackling is gone. Have a listen for yourself. So one of the best parts about owning a Redmi device is the great battery life, because they all have really big batteries, and this one is no exception. With a huge battery, you can be sure that this phone can take almost anybody throughout an entire day without any problem. I was able to get 6 hours of screen on time easily on this phone without this phone dying on me before I went to bed. And if you still play Pokemon Go, which I don't, but if you do, this phone is great for you as well because it took me almost 6 hours to kill this phone off. I also did the standard battery test, I did the web browsing test and the video playback test. And it took me about 10 hours of web browsing in order to kill this phone, and 11 hours of video playback in order to, well, kill this phone as well. You also get Quick Charge, or what MediaTek calls Pump Express Plus, which is a quick charge version for MediaTek. Software-wise, you have MIUI 8 pre-installed. It's a pretty good operating system. I've gotten a little tired of it as the years have gone on, as I've been using MIUI for quite a while now. I'm kind of getting tired of the pastel colors and the lack of the aperture, but let's leave that for another video. This Redmi Note 4 didn't actually come with Google Play installed. I had to install it myself, but that's not too big of an issue. It's actually pretty simple, and I have an article up on Gizchina.com that tells you exactly how to do it. Even though I don't really like the look of MIUI anymore and I much prefer stock Android, this phone is packed with so many features, whether they're useful or not to you. There are a ton of features and a ton of customization options in this device that really make this a Swiss knife with so many options, rivaling even some custom ROMs as well. There's also features like double tap to wait to turn the screen on, which I do find a little bit obsolete now that there's a fingerprint sensor to turn the screen on. The fingerprint sensor does work pretty well. It's not as fast as say like an iPhone 7 or a Samsung Galaxy S7, but accuracy is really good. I don't think this fingerprint sensor has rejected my finger once at all, and it's really good, and I've been using it daily every day, and I really like it. My version of the Redmi Note 4 came with 3 gigs of RAM, and it also has the Helio X20 Deca core processor, and couple those two things together and you get a really great experience. Performance is great. I was able to multitask and open and close apps without any issue, and I was also able to play games as well. The Note 4 could handle any game I threw at it like a champ. I tried Modern Combat, I tried Real Racing, and I tried Hearthstone, and they all ran really well on this phone. It also doesn't really overheat, which is something that's really good. I've been using this device on Fido in Canada, and I get 4G speeds, and sometimes it drops back to 3G. Speeds are really good, and I did a speed test just to show you what the speeds are like. GPS works well. It works really well for navigating me to and from work, as well as, Pokemon Go as well. There's also the latest Wi-Fi 802.11 AC chip, as well as Bluetooth 4.2, and they both work very well as well. There's also an IR blaster in this device, and I don't consider that very useful, but it does work with my TV with a limited range of around 5 feet, which might be a little bit too short for you depending on what your home theater setup is like. The camera here is pretty decent. In great lighting conditions, I can get great photos with really good colors as well as good detail as well. But as lighting went down, or as lighting got worse, the picture quality also decreased. You could see more noise in the photo. But that being said, it's not as bad as other Chinese phones. It's actually pretty good. But just compare it to like a Galaxy S7 and you can see a huge difference. Same thing on the front-facing camera. The front-facing camera is actually not bad as well. You can get some nice pictures for Instagram and maybe Snapchat. But low light and it doesn't really do a good job. Video is actually the exact same thing. The video captures some pretty decent video quality. There's some good detail in there. But once you get into low light, it has issues capturing things that are moving fast. That being said about the camera, the Redmi Note 4 is the best Redmi Note Xiaomi has made to date. I absolutely love the aluminum unibody as well as the Helio X20 processor powering it, and getting all this for $160 is pretty unbelievable. I can't think of anything that is big enough to be a deal breaker for me, and I'm most likely going to replace my Redmi 3 with the Redmi Note 4. The one thing for me would be the size. It's really big, at least for me because I have really small hands. But that's the only thing, and that's kind of like personal opinion, so it might not apply to you. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to share it if you liked the video, and subscribe to the Gizchina YouTube channel as well for more videos, and I'll see you in the next one.